Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Is there anyone on this board who has actually experienced anything paranormal? It just feels like it's all shitposters from other boards who want to believe like me. Is there anyone left here who truly can say with honesty that they're experiencers in some kind of way? Anyone who's met greys, reptilians, mantids, Nordics, ghosts, gods, succubi, or who truly are psychic in some way? Give your stories here if you want to, please.
Think I wrote it once somewhere, but not in detail. When I was still kindergarten age, I woke up in the night, normal, and looked around the room. I do that till this day and just go back to sleep. Always thought it was some instinct thing from my ancestors to make sure there are no wolves or other predators or whatever. That one night I looked over my loft bed and saw a fucking ghost stand in the middle of my room looking at the ground. I was fucking shocked. I did not make any noise because I did not want to be attacked by that thing. I had, of course, no idea how it would react because it was a damn ghost. I remember how long I stared at that thing. My neck hurt from looking and I was scared it would notice me. It's horrible having your parents right around the corner but you can't scream for help. I was very glad I did not have a normal bed because then it would have seen me. I must have stared at it for at least half an hour. Probably longer. I moved as little as I could while lying back down so my bed would not make noise and went to sleep. It was the only thing I could do. When I woke up, I looked over my bed filled with fear and was relieved to see it was gone. Of course, the moment I saw it, I knew no one would ever believe what I saw. I don't demand that. It's insane, impossible to demand that. It's just shit having seen something like that and knowing it's real. It exists and can just fucking spawn in your room when you sleep. I became a little paranoid ever since that day. I can't sleep without light. I think it keeps them away, but of course that is just cope on my part and I don't actually know that. My partner told me it was just imagination. Yeah, okay, how about you wake up to see some white 3D translucent person standing in your fucking room and tell me how that's just a dream or a funny shadow. Was also pretty pissed when I saw it and started thinking about it because it was not interesting looking. Looked a bit like a shitty Halloween ghost.
Yeah, I experienced a glitch in the Matrix. Posted it here before, but I'll do it again since you're interested. Friend and I are driving home from the movie theater. Rural area. Look out the window and see a large hospital that's outside the town where we attend high school. Means we'll be in town in a couple minutes and then not long to our houses. Drive for about 20 minutes. Don't hit town but instead see bright lights to my right. It's the hospital again. I think I'm being an idiot. Friend sees it too and starts to freak out. Okay, I'm not an idiot, we passed this way long ago. The hospital is unmistakable. No other buildings that look remotely like it in the area. No way to loop back around to the hospital without entering town. Pretty spooky, but aside from that I've only experienced intense déjà vu.
Had some really. I'll post one I haven't ever posted. Be me like 10 years ago. In bed, almost sleeping. Seems like I got in a pre-deep sleep state. Suddenly I'm awake as if I'm lucid dreaming but not actually dreaming or lucid. Seems too real. I'm laying on the side and see light from a cable connector that illuminates half the ground around my table. Whatever. Someone's sneaking behind the table. WTF? Like a fucking gnome trying to walk away after he realized he woke me up. Fuck this.jpg. I was in shock to understand what really happened at the moment. A few seconds later I realized I wasn't asleep. I suddenly got off the bed and started searching for that thing around my room. Of course, I couldn't find him. But it was like a real gnome from movies, with a big hat.
Not that anyone would believe me, but I will swear up and down that I've had premonitions in dreams before. However, they're not life-changing revelations of the sort. Usually me doing something normal like talking to a friend. So here are some of the characteristics for the Anons. They're usually pretty rare, about 1 every 4 months, but they sometimes come in bursts of about 3 in a week. The premonitions usually aren't very distant into the future. I think the longest ones ever taken to play out has been about 18 months roughly. I get the feeling of déjà vu plus the immediate memory of having had the premonition usually when I observe a specific item or hear a specific phrase. What has fucked me up is that it's a completely open-ended situation where the possibilities are endless. I've spent countless hours speculating about what these premonitions mean in the grand scheme, from multiverse theory and a Neo-Mandela effect where my consciousness observes a reality similar to my own but ahead of it to biblical answers and a potential channeling of a demon or God. I've spent over 3 years trying different things to try and increase their frequency. Praying to different gods, sacrificial offerings, what I eat before bed, what I go to sleep wearing, what position I fall asleep in, what time I fall asleep, and so on. The only one I've found that actually works is kind of like wild lucid dreaming, where I get an above-average amount of sleep for a night, and that's harder than it sounds. Imagine really trying to sleep for 14 hours every night. You just can't. That's about all I really know about my premonitions. It's not really useful, but what angers me is that I have to acknowledge supernatural existence because I'm experiencing these premonitions, but I don't know what is causing them, since it would be the most important cultural discovery ever.
Be me, 16 years old on a Friday night, going over to my best friend's house to spend the night. Scored some beer from my older brother. Fuck yeah. Gonna be a great night. Play some Wii and Xbox with best bud. Sneak out with bro and smoke cigs outside his house and drink beer. Life is good. JPG. Talk to buddy about creepy shit and ask about his property. Best bud lives on a 125-acre farm. Has old abandoned greenhouses and lots of cool buildings to go exploring. Go walking with buddy around the farm. Ask about ghosts and taunt ghosts to show themselves. My face when there's a blood-curdling scream echoes across the field. My face when the scream is coming from an old abandoned trailer buddy's dad owns that sits beside an old tree that was used for hanging people over 75 years ago. Look at Buddy and ask him if he heard that. Buddy is frozen in place, not moving a muscle. Scream happens again. Buddy's dog takes off in the direction of the scream, barking like mad. Dog comes back a few minutes later. Okay. Drink more beer on the back of my truck with best bud, calming our nerves. Scream pierces the night. Different than before. It sounds like a man getting murdered, coming from a different direction. Go back to look at the trailer and see if we can see anything. All of the trailer's lights come on at once. The trailer hasn't had electricity running to it in years. It looks like someone is pacing through the house trailer as we can see the shadow on the closed blinds moving back and forth. After a minute or so, all of the lights go back out. Me and best bud go back inside and grab guns. Me with a pump shotgun and him with an old lever action .32 to 20. Lock and load. JPG. Walk 400 yards across a field to the trailer. Cautiously move up to the trailer. Yell, "Is anyone in there?" Nobody is home. Walk up old steps and into the trailer. No electricity, no lights work. Check fuse box. No power in trailer. No power from the grid. That's pretty much my only unexplainable experience.
A few experiences.
Bumped my funny bone really hard one day. A romantic interest, who lived miles away, called a few minutes after the injury and asked if I hurt my arm and if I was okay. The relationship was of short duration but with enough peculiarity to last a lifetime. With a friend in an older family house around 3 a.m. Pulled out newspapers to get Orbit to check for my friend's dad's entry. Outside the window heard a short, deep, slow chuckle of a laugh. We exited the house through the door next to the window, with no one around. Same house about the same time in the morning. Radio playing. Music abruptly stops. Get up to check it, power present, adjust volume, change stations, and remain silent. Across the room a wind-up musical pirouetting horse begins playing and spinning around. A friend and I were laying on a grass embankment next to a road one summer night. Watched 3 solid red bright lights play across the sky. They would separate and come back together in different patterns. No change in size or color intensity, no smoke trails. The show lasted about 5 to 10 minutes and all 3 quickly came together and simply disappeared.
The kitchen I work in, the deli of a gas station mini-mart place, is haunted. I've found the faucet turned a crack with a thin stream of water trickling down. I wasn't doing anything near it immediately before and would have noticed otherwise because that sort of thing bothers me. Also 2 spatulas, one of the peanut spoons and a bread knife have disappeared without a trace. Recently there were reports of the lights turning on and off without anyone touching them. The kitchen ghost and I have an understanding. It doesn't mess with me, but everyone has these stories.
Yes, as a child I dreamed regularly about what I thought were fairies. Now I think they were demons. The dreams infected my waking mind. I saw them while awake. The main one was some sort of queen figure. She was training me and a dozen other children. I was the favorite. I was some sort of apprentice. The dreams took place in a glade. The last dream took place when I was 12. The queen led me through a door behind the throne to an altar in the woods. She started to wrap a red thread around me. An elf boy with dark eyes and a shirt made of shining material shouted at me to run from the shadows. I hit the queen in the nose and ran until I woke up. And never saw her again. I dream of other creatures, though less and less, with almost all the dreams stopping as I reach adulthood. I am not super active on this board and no one has yet to explain my experiences to me. I think it is good to note that my dad told me when he was young he used to be tormented by a demon called Lo until he rid himself of his desire for violence. So I think perhaps my family is often followed by them.
I think so. I worked overnight as a Shell station cashier near Philadelphia, USA. It was a small store, one way in and out. It was like 2 a.m., was playing my PSP behind the register, and when I looked up there was a guy who dressed like someone from the 40s or 50s. He had a double-breasted suit, fedora, trench coat. Scared the shit out of me as the bell to the door or the motion alarm didn't go off or anything. There wasn't a car that pulled up. Rural area. He was basically just there. He walked up to me and asked to use the lav. I told him it was in the back and he walked into it. After like a half hour he didn't come out. We had a policy to knock to make sure the people using it weren't homeless junkies overdosing. I knocked a couple times and called out, "Sir," no answer. Tried the door, it was unlocked, nobody in there, nothing seemed used since I cleaned it around midnight. There was a small kitchen window he would have climbed out, but he was like 6'3" and broad, no way he was fitting through it. Checked outside real quick thinking I just didn't see him leave. Nothing in the parking lot or by the pumps. Went to check the tapes to see if I didn't notice him leaving at all or I fell asleep and dreamed it, but there was me on tape seemingly talking to myself, and pointing towards the bathroom. Outside of some weird artifacts nothing was on the tape. Told my boss in the morning and he said I need to get him whatever weed I'm smoking. Didn't tell anyone else until now.
Thanks for your story, Anon. I'm in the same boat as Up. Very interested in the paranormal but have never had an encounter that I've noticed. Some stories I've seen here are downright unbelievable schizo, drug-induced rants. Some are iffy and some seems like trolling. Any theories on who that was? Time traveler or something?
I still have no idea. He didn't seem ethereal or even weird at all outside of how he was dressed. His voice wasn't distorted at all. It was like he was a normal person. I always figured it was a spirit. It freaked me out, but nothing weird like that there ever happened again. If I didn't confirm with the tape, I would have been 100% sure it was probably some lucid dream. Wrote it off for a while as a sleep-deprived hallucination, but the more I think about it, the less sure I am.
I was on /B/ at 3 a.m. about 10 years ago. I woke up in a fit, absolutely couldn't sleep, and knew I had to get up. I chose to go on /B/ rather than just sleep it off. The first post was George Cavassalas, who was speaking on energetic bodies and light beings. I instantly received deep chills throughout my body, and I had known this was because I resonated so deeply I had unlocked the knowledge I had already known. From this moment, I began to meditate and get deeper. I found astral projection, and soon I would accidentally start to have OOBEs and eventually begin to have entity contact. That's the TLDR version. Now I'm currently a health coach who teaches others through holistic lifestyle medicine how to connect deeper into themselves and make gradual changes to empower themselves. I get to teach people breath work, meditation, energy work, mindset work, manifestation work, astral projection, etc. for a living. And it's all because of /B/, obviously more likely because my soul's path was to always find it. Yet it's funny how the path opens up and comes about.
I paid to go ghost hunting at PIC related last year. It was 2 hours guided and 2 hours without a guide. During the guided portion they had a group of us sitting in the prison library where they had put things like strobe lights and music boxes, and we all sat there watching them go off on their own. While the large group was in the library, one guide was taking smaller groups down to some of the solitary confinement cells. They closed the smaller groups in the cells with a laptop in the center of the floor. On the laptop she had, the Phasma was open, which I guess lets you talk to ghosts via your computer. I heard a woman's voice. At one point the voice called me a motherfucker. I didn't experience anything else after that. Pretty much just walked around a dark prison at night, which was pretty cool.
Loads of stuff. Lots of ghosty sightings and interactions. I know they are real. A couple of spiritual entity attacks. The Matrix glitches out the wazoo. The synchros. A couple of high strangeness moments. Never seen Bigfoot though, or reptile dude, or dog man. But the supernatural is actually normal. What is truly supernatural is living so psychotically disconnected from the world, like most of us are. The world is a swimming mass of weird shit everywhere you look. But just like the dream characters I questioned during lucid dreaming bouts, everyone is like, oh that is just blah blah blah. That freaky impossible weird thing is totally normal and was always there. Fucking comatose whack-a-doodles everywhere I look.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentexts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember that all videos have been archived on the Odyssey page.